We had a comment recently stating that Chelsea chop is really misunderstood and actually not needed. And I completely agree. Let's explain more. Hello, I'm Rosie Hardy. This is Rosie Hardy Gardening. So Chelsea chop in the UK is something that is and has been used for a long time on plant material that can get incredibly tall in the later season. Chelsea chop basically is done to plant material such as Helianthus, Leucanthemellus, Verbascums, all of the late season Michaelmas daisies, because people do not want them flopping over when they get to their full height. So Chelsea chop is a technique whereby you cut the plant down to nearly ground level at middle end of May, and then it regrows and it doesn't grow as tall. This technique, the Chelsea chop, is called this because it falls around the time of the Chelsea Flower Show. There are various different forms of doing this, but do you actually need to do it if you're growing the plants correctly? In my book, no, you don't. The reason why people do it is because they don't want to be doing all the staking, etc. But why are you having to do that? Why are the plants growing so tall in the first place? Some of them, yes, naturally they're going to get up to somewhere around about 5 feet, 1 meter 50 plus. But if they're grown properly, they will have strong stems, they will hold themselves up. So what is the incorrect things that people are doing? Basically, overfeeding, overwatering. And if you do that in combination, too much water, too much nitrogen feed, you get fleshy leaves, you get soft growth, you get really tall, and it just flops everywhere. Hence why Chelsea chop was brought in, because you cut it back down to ground level, you stop it in its tracks, then it starts to regrow and it doesn't grow quite as fast. So stop overfeeding, stop overwatering, the plants will grow stronger, you won't be needing to do the Chelsea chop. Now, it's not always done for the really tall stuff. Sometimes it's done for things like Hylotelephium. So the old-fashioned sedum herbsfreud, get up here and then it just collapsed. Well, again, that is something, you're overfeeding it if it's doing that. It needs dry and it needs poor soils, and then it will be much, much stronger. It'll stay lower. And this is why in the UK you'll find a lot of people are still doing a technique of Chelsea chop, because we get a lot of rain, and if you've mulched you're going to have more feed there. So they are still utilising this technique. Now you either cut the whole plant back. There are some older videos of me showing how to chop back Verbascum and Helianthus right the way down. I'm not so keen on the idea of doing that and going right the way back down, because you end up with really bare bits in your borders. And at this time of the year, when everything is coming through looking lush and fabulous, then you know, you don't really want to be going in there and taking it right the way back down. So I am much more in favour of either a Chelsea thin, which means you take out 1/3 to 1/2 of the growth, leaving the rest to go up, which means the plant material you've left carries on going up taller. The plant material that you've cut down grows up slower and acts as the support for the rest of the clump. So that one I'm really quite keen on. The other one is taking your spade and going through and just giving it a cut through on the root system. You're giving it a little bit of a root prune. And one that works very well, especially for the slightly lower stuff, so with the Hylotelephiums, if you're really struggling with those, then probably usually about April is a better time to do it. You go with a fork or a spade and you lift the whole clump and you just give it a tug, and then you drop it back down into the ground where it was already. That one is working quite well, we have noticed, with a lot of people in their gardens. I'm just going to demonstrate the Chelsea thin. So you are going to be taking out sort of every other growth in here to just take it down. If you just start off slowly and work through, you will be able to see that you are actually thinning out quite nicely in the plants. It's quite cathartic actually doing this. It's not that different from having, you know, having a haircut and having thick hair thinned. So you just literally are going through, probably taking the slightly taller pieces out and removing it down so that you end up with a thin area going through here. So if I've done half of the plant here, you will be able to see that it is a much thinner lot of growing through here. I'll probably need 1 or 2 more pieces out, and this side is much chunkier. So that works quite nicely, and I'm cutting to around about 2 inches from ground level. If you've got plant material which is much thinner and you haven't got a lot of growth on there, then yes, you are going to have to go back down. You will see with this Leucanthemella, it obviously lost a bit of growth here. So these have all gone up, but this has come up branched. So as long as you cut down to where there are buds, it will send up, 2 or 3 more stems, and they won't get quite as tall. So that is a way of doing it as well. With Verbascums, because you've got your tall flower spike going up, it is basically a way of getting more flowering stems. So once you've had the first flower, it is a cut down to the bottom, and then you'll get secondary blooming coming on. So it's a slightly different technique because that's a summer flower. These are autumn flowers. So you're just trying to stop them from going up that bit further. And you will have much more success. Monadas it works well on. There are lots of plant material that you can do it on. And this way of doing the Chelsea thin, or going to the plant and just lifting it and putting it back down, it's that root pruning that causes it to slow down and then regrow again, and you will have a much stronger, tougher, stockier plant, not have to do all of that staking. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch another video of mine, YouTube thinks this one is perfect for you.